Good afternoon, parents. I have been asked if I could make available the PowerPoint that I used at open house or curriculum night the other night. So I'm going to just talk through it, and if you have any questions, just please let me know. So welcome to the fourth grade. We are well into our year. We are halfway through our first 9 weeks, and progress reports have just come out. I know a lot of people have had questions about grades, and hopefully we have been able to answer those. Reading seems to be the biggest grade that everybody's asking about because kids are required to do a little more in fourth grade as far as providing evidence when they're answering the questions for the reading quizzes. So we are diligently working towards that. Speaking of, let's take a look at what's on the PowerPoint. This is the kids' star binder. It's the red, blue, and white pocket folder. We've provided a pocket for each subject area, and then there's one for communication, which if there's anything that doesn't quite fit the Thursday folder, something that needs to come home in the middle of the week, something that's specific for your particular student, then I'll use that communication pockets there. If you have something you need to send from home, that's a great place for you to put it. And the kids know that they have to put it in my blue basket in the room in order for me to review whatever note or money you've sent in. It is required every single day. It's a great organizational tool for the students, and I would personally ask my kid every day what's in their star binder. One of the things that we find is that parents like to clean it out, and I would ask that you not do that, just kind of refrain from pulling all those extra papers out, because you just never know what it is that's important for us to keep. My homework policy is that homework's just a continuation of the skills that we've taught in class. It should be about 30 to 45 minutes a night. We're asking our students to read at least 15 minutes every night. They're starting to come home with some reading homework that should help maintain that. I don't do a reading log per se because it's just too easy for us to be busy and sign off on that log and the kid says he read and probably did, but it's not a meaningful reading. So they're going to have reading assignments that ask them to reflect and respond on their reading, sometimes with you, sometimes by themselves. And then in other cases we'll actually send home specific passages that will have the kids read and respond to those passages. In reading, we ask that students learn how to find the main idea and supporting details. They will predict, infer, summarize, find conclusions. We talk about character traits. We talk about theme in the stories. We talk about the setting. So lots of things are happening in the area of reading. We read both fiction and nonfiction. Right now we're immersed in our fiction, one of our fiction units, and we will move from that into our nonfiction unit. Reading is the basis of all that we do, obviously, in school, and so it's very important that kids learn how not only just to read the words, but to garner some meaning out of what they're reading. In fourth grade, we really stress evidence. The kids are required to tell me why or how and prove their answers. So that's something that we'll be working on continually throughout the year. In social studies, they started off with the first Americans, and they're now into early exploration. They'll go from there to colonial America, where the Europeans settled here and started to build towns and colonies. From there, of course, we have the revolution against England, and then as we set up our new nation, it expanded westward, and then we get into the Civil War. There'll be some novel readings that are integrated into that social study, some of those social studies units. In math is a little different. Of course, we're teaching multiplication and division. We have a lot of fractions embedded in our units, algebra as well. They'll begin to learn decimals afterwards, and we will continually spiral through place value because it's the basis of a lot of what we do. We'll have a unit on measurement towards the end of the year and geometry. We also work on data analysis, where the kids are required to look at charts and graphs and make math meaning out of that. We write in our math journals in their notebook. It's a place for them to keep some examples to help. So if you're struggling with math, I do tutorial videos that will also be up on my YouTube channel to help with some of the strategies that you may not be familiar with when we're talking about the different math units. Science, we started out with astronomy, coming up on our big astronomy unit test. We will go from there to weather. We also talk about organisms and how to classify them and what their environments mean. We'll do electricity, magnetism, and light. And because we are in a gap year with the South Carolina standards, this year the kids will not be tested on SE Pass on sound, but we do want to introduce it to them this year, so we'll be doing that at the end of the year. Of course, next year's third graders will have sound as a unit in our fourth grade after this. Word study. We focus on learning the meaning of the words. For the vocabulary portion of it, we use Greek and Latin roots and talk about prefixes and suffixes. We do ask that the kids can use the words correctly in the sentences each week. And then for our spelling, we focus on commonly misspelled words. We started out with the long A, E, I, O, and U sounds this year. We're going to move on to things like homonyms and synonyms and antonyms later on, but the kids will have to spell those words. So vocabulary, we're focusing more on the meaning. Spelling, of course, we're focusing more on the spelling portion. Our behavior, we go through a think process, talking out of turn, hindering the learning of others, inappropriate behavior, not following directions, and just generally keeping your hands and feet to yourself is our thought process when we are discussing behavior in the classroom. Kids can earn daily paychecks for being on time, completing their homework, getting their morning work started, and just being generally prepared. Do they have all their materials? Are they bringing the right things back and forth to class? That's something that they can earn their paychecks for. They can earn even more dollars throughout the day just for a variety of reasons, but they can also lose dollars for forgetting to think before they act, not following the Brushy Creek rules. They make a mistake and forget to take the proper materials to Mrs. Hepburt's class. They may be paying in order to get back into mine in order to get their materials. And then just any kind of disrespectful acting towards themselves, classmates, or teachers. My schedule can be found online. Let me talk to you quickly about field trips. We have our first one coming up in October. We're going to Lake Conisty State Park. They will discuss with us animal organisms in science. We're also going to go to Furman, that's in February, for a social studies play. We have a Roper Mountain Science Center trip, but that is not scheduled out. Roper Mountain actually schedules that for us, so we'll let you know as soon as we do when that will be. And then we're going to Charleston in May. Friday, May 27th is our Charleston trip. Planning on going to Fort Sumter and to the aquarium there. Still working on the details for that, but it will be coming out soon. We're very excited about taking our kids to Charleston this year. This is my communication page. Of course, if you call me during the day, I am teaching, so it will go straight to my voicemail. It's better to email me. Visit my website for a variety of information. I have links to my study stacks, to my Quizlet, and some other helpful information pages there. If you haven't already signed up for Remind, that's an excellent way. I send out text reminders for things like Picture Day, but I also send out the links to any of our study stacks or Quizlet websites is also on that Remind page. We have weekly newsletters. These are printed out on Monday for the kids, and they keep them in the back of their star binders, but I also update my webpage weekly. And then your weekly Thursday folder, that green folder that comes home, will have their grades in it as well. So that's a little bit about what we talked about at Open House. Of course, our theme this year is we're celebrating 100 years of excellence here at Brushy Creek Elementary, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the year with your students. Thanks.